Call the meeting in order at 1:02. You want to take roll, Liz?
Yes, sir. Secretary Halverson.
Here.
Thank you. Member Holmes.
Ralph.
Member Holmes, are you there?
Here, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Thank you. Glad you could join us. Chairman Lewis is absent. Vice Chair Martell is also absent. Member Siegel?
Here.
Excellent. Thank you. So we do have 3. We do have a quorum.
Any agenda modifications? Okay, can we move approval of the agenda? So moved. Second by Steve. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Any public comments from any of the sites? Liz, got anybody?
I don't see any. There's nothing on the governing board email address, and I don't see anything in the chat.
Case, we're okay there?
All right.
We approve the agenda. You got public comment. No public comments. Jana, you want to introduce somebody? I think.
Yes, I do. Sorry, I was looking for my mute button. Yes, Dr. Corey Loomis is here. He is, I forget his full title, but he is our huge person who does an incredible job overseeing all of the charters at Riverside County Office of Education. Without him and RCOE, we would not exist. And he provides a lot of support, as does the rest of the Riverside County Office of Education, to their charters and especially to us. And we appreciate it very much. And the great communication and meetings and professional development that you provide us, Dr. Loomis. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. So I know that there's a big agenda and there's kind of a narrow timeline here. So good. Thank you, Liz. I was going to ask that question. You're on it. And then when your reference to the hard stop at 1:30, was that for kind of the quorum, the meeting itself?
Yes, I believe so. I believe we have at least one board member that needs to be done by 1:30.
All right. Well, we'll get there. Okay, good. So I'll go a little quicker than I normally would. There's some slides that I've shared in the past with the board, and maybe just I start by introducing myself for those that aren't aware and for the community at large. My name's Corey Loomis. I'm the director of the Charter School Unit at Riverside County Office of Education. It's an honor and privilege to work with Pivot Riverside and the team as a whole. We're always here to support the school and really charter school leaders all in the South here. And one of the things I enjoy doing is going out on an annual basis and engaging and encouraging charter boards. So there's direct correlation to the strength and the health of the charter board and the strength and health of the school. So for the last 5 years, I make the rounds to all of our schools in our portfolio. So we have just grown to 16 now.
Wow.
Which puts us probably a little under 17,000 students completely in our portfolio. So we can go to the next slide.
Yep.
Holy cow.
Our overlapping why are kids and families. Whatever we could do collectively to support them is what we need to do. Next slide. I won't spend much time on these kind of intro slides. Sometimes I have new board members or maybe a younger board in maturity. So these are the key points for the Charter Schools Act. California was the second behind Minnesota to enact charter schools. So those are all the key reasons. Just want to, this slide just really emphasizes the awesome responsibility board members that you have. And I know that you do not take it lightly. Essentially, you're responsible for all of it. And with the Charter Schools Act, there was a trade-off on less bureaucracy for more autonomy and freedom. I'm sure many in the charter school movement now would disagree that there's less bureaucracy. So usually in the past, I've kind of had these stack of a large law book and a small one, but that small law book has been growing for charters. Next slide. This just a high level reminder of why we do this work as boards, make the best decisions possible for students, be excellent stewards of the public's resources, and model excellence in behavior in charter schools. So I know Jana and your legal team have been keeping you abreast of charter bills that have been moving through, and AB 84 is kind of morphing and dwindling, which is good for non-classroom based. But we see in relation to number 3, essentially, of course, we all know we had some significant bad actors about 5 years ago, and now we're kind of left with this to navigate this legislation that's pending. Next slide. Effective boards. They lead with courage and are student focused, hold themselves and everybody around them accountable, and hold schools leadership accountable for outcomes and key decisions. Of course, to collaborate closely with your school leaders, also ensuring a long-term operational financial stability. Of course, we're going to follow the charter petition and required laws. When boards are not effective, we don't have to spend a lot of time on these headlines. We know them all too well. You just do a Google search on failed charter schools, and we keep go to the next slide. There's more to share on that. Next slide. And this is the one that is the charter bill AB 84 and the charter sponsored bill SB 414 is all response to these bad actors from several years ago. And then on the heels of 2 issued state reports, call it 2.5. There's technically a third one from the Charter Authorizing Professionals. A CCAP group also issued a third report, essentially discussing how could we fix and close these gaps that these folks kind of took advantage of. Next slide. We all know the primary reason for charter school failure is for financial reasons. So not necessarily academic, and financial, not necessarily the headlines that we just saw earlier. And some of it is just, not solid management, overestimating enrollments, those type of things. But that's the primary reason, is for fiscal reasons. Next slide. So really, the board, as I've shared for a few years now, I make the rounds to all of our charter boards, and I've had a lot of conversation around mitigating risk. So as a board, how do you, the constant question is, how do we mitigate risk? What are the risks? And how do we close those gaps and really project forward to avoid any issues or gaps in risk to liability? Next slide. So just when I started this journey several years ago, I shared this book with all the directors, and I do have some that are left over. And that was a great book by Brian Carpenter, just really an overview of nonprofit boards and the key areas for especially charter nonprofit boards. What should we be paying attention to? What are the key factors, the key topics that we need to be aware of? So I shared that in the past. Next slide. The last couple of years, I was really continue to be excited, but what I did share the last couple of years were some good tools that were created from the National Charter School Research Center. Essentially, it's kind of an extension of the Department of Education. Some researchers out of WestEd were asking the question, what are the main reasons for charter school failure? So they created some really helpful rubrics around these key areas to drill down. So they in their research in evaluating charter school failures, it really kind of came down to these 6 areas: of leadership, governing board, fiscal and financial and operational topics and areas, talent, essentially your staffing, culture, school culture, board culture, instruction at the teacher level. So they found that the failures were in one of these categories. So what I've shared the last couple of years, essentially this, what I call a plug and play tool, and easy to understand. And the whole purpose is really, going back to risk and mitigation of risk, what are our gaps? How can we identify gaps? So this is one tool to identify gaps. Next slide. This year, on that same topic for charter boards, is to, the idea of how do we continue to monitor and avoid risk? You can't avoid all risk, but how can we minimize it? So the same Carpenter from earlier, Save Your Ship. So I do have this book for all the directors that will be coming up to your main headquarters in Chico. It's going to be in the mail. So that's our gift for you to encourage and promote your growth as a board. For those that were able to attend, I think it was back in the fall, I did have a board network meeting. So this author that I partnered with in the past wrote this book. And what I really love about this book is that Dr. Brian Carpenter is a forensic auditor. His heart and passion are to help charter schools become stronger and healthier. So he works closely with charter boards specifically, and this is really his audience with this book. It's very practical, very easy to understand, and he really gets into. We could go to the next slide, and I'll hang on to what the next level on that book. And we know who's impacted. Of course, it's students are impacted when charter schools fail, right? But we also have families, we have communities, and we have the taxpayers at large. Next slide. These are the overall common areas for risk within charter schools. They fall into one of these 5 buckets. Again, this I'm giving you a 30,000-foot level, kind of a flyby of this book, so you could go at a deeper level and explore all these areas. Next slide. What I really wanted to spend a little bit of time on was his model. And so what I wanted to share when I saw that cover, essentially, this book focuses on enterprise risk management. So these principles of enterprise risk management are principles that every industry has, whether it's corporate, whether it's health, but enterprise risk management principles and philosophies are not utilized in schools. So Dr. Brian Carpenter, with his expert background, he essentially modified enterprise risk management principles for charter school boards. So it's an innovative approach to look at this type of model. So he created this new model. I'm just going to spend a couple minutes kind of walking you through this particular model on enterprise risk management. Next slide. So instilling, going back to culture and instilling ethical conduct and behavior of the entire school community, that being the board, that being leadership, and this idea that everyone is responsible and accountable for their character and their decisions, their integrity, and it's everybody's responsibility to minimize risk, whatever that may be within their sphere and realm. Next slide. So after instilling that kind of attitude and culture is informing yourselves about what are the common risks. So we saw just briefly on that previous slide, those 5 kind of buckets, those 5 areas where those risks fall into for charter schools. And then looking at them and grouping them, he categorizes them as there's 3 Ps: people, property, and programs. And then inform yourself on this particular model. So we're going to get a little deeper in the 3 Ps on the next slide. This is what it looks like when we break down those risk categories and what he refers to as the 3 Ps and the topics under each of those: people, property, and programs. Next slide. Invest. So as I've been sharing for the last couple of years, it's always important for the board to have their own professional development and growth in monitoring risk and exposure and gaps and thinking collectively as a board. How do we grow? How do we close those gaps, whether it's capacity within the board, new information that the board needs to learn, and then responding and reacting to the external environment itself, and whether it's AB 84 and responding and reacting to things that are pushed on the organization, but investing time to be proactive and aware of what's happening within the organization. Having a team approach around ownership. So it's not just Jana or the team's leadership team or the board's responsibility. It's the group itself. It's the key leadership. It's everybody working in partnership with each other. And then what in his book, he proposes that there's a specific committee. Sometimes it's harder for smaller or medium-sized organizations to have a separate committee to look at risk, but that's his purpose, his intent is to really bring it to the forefront of the radar of the board, so that there's no things will happen that are unexpected, to make sure that you're aware as much as possible so there's not surprises for the board. Next slide. identify. So we're going to get into a model. I've shared previous models on what the indicators of distress in that rubric that I briefly touched base on a couple minutes ago. So he's going to give us another model that we could utilize, another tool to identify risk. And it's a kind of an interesting model. But again, identifying the priorities within those 3 Ps, and developing a plan to mitigate those risk within those 3 Ps. So let's get into the next slide. So this is an interesting kind of model that he utilizes in this book. So when you get the book, all of his resources are free. So he's going to give you free resources with web pages to go to. But what you're looking at is a heat map. And essentially what's easy to understand is that we have red and we have green and we have yellow, right? So red's hot, red's, we think of a stoplight, we think of a stop sign. Red tends to get our attention. So what we have are 2 different variables that place these risks higher or lower to the red. So if we just looking at the map, we see there's F and then there's G, right? So if we go over to the chart there, it talks about there's an excessive faculty turnover, high turnover. So there's one column that says susceptibility and then there's one that says impact. So this is a scale of 7. So they're saying this, whatever it is, this organization, this school site they're susceptible to high turnover. The frequency is high. So when we have high turnover, what's the impact? So we know with high turnover, there's significant impact. So with both of those variables being high, that puts it closer to the red. So we see the same example with G. theft of PII, personal identifiable information. So maybe their systems, their IT systems are porous, that they have gaps, they have issues, they've been hacked in the past. What's the susceptibility? They rated it high. What's the impact? Well, that's high also if we have folks that are, taking information, stealing information off of our databases. So that is also close to the red. So the goal is this is an A model to appropriately prioritize risk to the organization, and something that you can hone in on and focus in on, develop plans to address those particular risks. So you don't have to recreate any of this. When you do get the book, you can go to those resources and create your own heat map. The formulas are there. He gives you a Google Sheet to use. Next slide. So integrate. So we talked about developing a plan and responding to strategies for those variables that are higher priority. And I did talked about those a couple different points. So integrate a plan, and then we come back to 6. Next slide, sorry. So that cycle of continuous improvement is to iterate. So did the plan work? Did it not? We need to make adjustments or not. So essentially we're going to come back around and we're going to iterate, we're going to evaluate, and then we're going to go and do the circle again. So maybe we had an impact on those 2 variables, and maybe there's one that rose up higher. And so again, it's always constantly adjusting and continuing to improve. Next slide. So that really is the bulk of the new content that I wanted to share with the directors. I just have a couple reminders and I'll be wrapping up my time here. And I'll address that question right at the end there. Thank you. As you know, you've got your plan in motion. Our budget's going to be, I know that's on your agenda. June's always a busy month. Next slide. We do have renewal. Let's see. So we're actually 2 years out still. And right now we're trending on the middle tier. So that's positive. No concerns there. We do have a renewal guidebook. All the links that I provide in this slide are live links to the direct resource. We are working on a 2.0. We should have that done in a few weeks, just some minor tweaks, but the guidebook's a good starting point. Next slide. We do provide a lot of support. So we do have a data pilot program, and I know your school's involved with that. And I call this kind of the governing for greatness, encouraging boards. And then we have another EL for some of our schools that have a higher EL student population. We work on those. Next slide. And I know the board's aware of this. So something that came into play January 1, essentially all new board members need training. And I believe, Jane, I think probably your team is all trained up and have your certificates probably. And if not, those are free resources below if you have a membership to CSDC. Essentially, there's no requirement that the boards have that training. Next slide. And I won't spend much time on this because I know you're getting a lot of information around these two bills. I think probably what I'll just share is that we have legislative staff that are in Sacramento and provided an update last Wednesday at our board meeting. So it appears it'll probably more and likely look like SB 414 with maybe a couple points of AB 84 added to it. So it appears that maybe AB 84 is losing some steam, so some energy. It was close on the votes as it crossed over to the Senate. So when it started off, it was pretty alarming, and it's not too alarming as it continues to get dwindled down. Next slide. There's just a free resource that I think I have some of all the directors on there, and if not, I could get the rest on there. Just bi-monthly communication about what's happening and updates and those type of things, and it's a QR code to our most recent edition. Next slide. All right, and we'll go through these quickly here. I've just discussed the indicators of distress. If you want to revisit those resources, they're there. Next slide. Huge fan of Charter School Development Center. They actually have some great resources for boards there, and I'm pretty sure you probably have a membership. Next slide. And we'll keep going to the end there. Thanks, Liz. Yep, I think that should probably be it. Thank you so much for everything that you do for your students and your families. And we appreciate partnering and collaborating with you and your leadership team down here in Riverside. They're a joy to work with, and appreciate your dedication to your families and students. So I know there maybe was one question that popped up too along that.
That was from board member Siegel. Yeah. And Corey, thank you so much for everything. Sorry, it had to be a little rushed.
We're good.
We had people out of the state that we didn't realize were going to be out of state. And so last week's board meeting got messed up. So thank you for your flexibility and all of your great advice and support, from your entire team. So thank you.
And
You are welcome.
And you make it simple for people like me to understand it. So I appreciate it.
Yes.
Oh, good. Well,
good.
and I appreciate that book because he does break it down that way as well. So I think you're going to appreciate the book once
Thank you
get
so
it.
much.
You
That's
bet.
great.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yep.
Steve, you had a question you posted.
Stevie?
And I could go into chat and respond to.
Yeah. He gave the thumbs up on that, but just Corey, real quickly, it's anything that you all would like to see us or the board improve upon. I think that's a great legitimate question, and I appreciate Steve asking.
Sure.
Yeah, so maybe what I could do is at least put some a thoughtful response back in the email for Jana that she could share out. But overall, we appreciate the partnership. The school is doing well. We visited. Yeah. So thumbs up from us, but it kind of next steps, I could definitely provide something a little bit more thoughtful.
We're so
Thank you.
exceptionally proud of our staff at Riverside and what you're bringing resources to them. It's amazing. Brandon and his group do an amazing job for those kids. It's a very proud thing to see. So thank you very much for your leadership. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Corey. And great.
Yep. Thank you. Let's see. What do we got? Oh,
This next one is not necessarily a full presentation, but I just wanted to include this from the last meeting. It is required that we present our local indicators report at the same meeting where the LCAPs are adopted. So this update where we discussed kind of an overview of the local indicators and other updates to the LCAP is just repeated. This is the same presentation from the last meeting on June 6th.
any questions of Liz? For the public, anybody? Okay, moving on to 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Liz?
All right, these are the actions to formally adopt our local control accountability plans, including the federal addendum and dashboard local indicators report for each school. We did hold public hearings for these. The board opened and closed those public hearings on June 6th, one for each school. And we didn't receive any feedback so far on the draft LCAPs or requests for changes or anything. So the documents that are presented for adoption are the same as were presented on June 6th. I do believe action needs to be taken individually for each LCAP here, but it's essentially the same action item, just a different set of documents for each school reflecting their slightly different metrics and performance, things like that.
Right. Okay. Let's see. I just appreciate all the work that everybody puts into these. It's quite comprehensive, and you even made me read all of them, which I appreciate. And actually learn something, which is even more amazing. So thank you so much for all the work you put in. 4.1, can I get a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion from anybody? Sites? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Steve? Aye.
Aye.
Or I'm going to 4.2. Move to approve. I'll move.
Second.
Second by Steve. Any discussion? Any input for any sites? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 4.3. Motion to approve.
Make motion.
Ralph?
Second.
Steve? Okay, 4.3. Any discussion? Any input from the sites? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
4.4. Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Steve?
Second.
Seconded by Ralph. Any discussion on this item? Site? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, 4.5.
All right, so this item is the official budget for Rhodes Education Organization and also the sub-budget for each Pivot Charter School. These budgets are here presented for approval, including all of the associated staffing and compensation plans, such as the pay scales for the 25-26 year and all of that sort of detail that accompanies the budget and has been incorporated into the assumptions.
Do we approve this?
Yes, approve and adopt the budget is required by July 3rd or June 30th, July 1st each year.
The motion to approve? I move. Anybody second?
Second.
Second. Any questions? Once again, Liz, we trust you, and for good reason. Really good reason. I mean, it's just amazing what you and Jana bring to our staff and how it works. And thanks to also the budget committee and Ralph, and they get Pat involved with that. Do an outstanding job. So way to go. Any other questions or comments?
Just wanted to say thank you. You all provided excellent guidance in development of the budget and staffing and compensation plans this year, and we really appreciate all of that input that you all provided as a board.
Yeah,
Great.
just so staff knows, we start that process in March. So it's
January.
January, yes, as far as, yes, you're right. But it's a lengthy process. So thank you, board members and subcommittee board members.
Way to go. Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
3 ayes, that approved. Okay, next scheduled board meeting. Anything you want to give us on updating that? Dana, I guess.
Saturday, November 1st at 12:30. Remember, that's a delayed start because of everybody's very, very busy schedules. And we will send out.
Because of Halloween. What are you talking about?
Leave it to Ralph. He's going to be dressed up the day before, so
I am.
it'll be a significant improvement. But Anyway, okay.
That is
Any-
our scheduled next board meeting, and we'll be sending out the full board schedule that you all approved and calendar invite shortly.
Okay.
That sounds great.
Any other comments? The meeting is adjourned at 1:32.